This program is brought to you by Agnes Scott College. For more information about Agnes Scott College, please visit our website at agnesscott.edu.
Well, first of all, welcome everyone. It's delightful that you are here on a Saturday afternoon, which itself is turning out to be rather nice because it doesn't look like it's going to rain, but the temperature is down and that is nice. It's pleasant, there's a good breeze blowing. I am told this is the first event at this place called the Campbell Hall Amphitheater. Now here it is, I don't know why they have the Campbell Hall with it. It's just an amphitheater, and that is great. It's outside. Should we attach ourselves to the hall at all? No, we'd like to be on the outside. We'd like to enjoy the outside as it is, outdoors as it is. And here it is. The event that we are here for today is called 100,000 Poets for Change. At this very time, on this very day, across the globe, in many different continents, cities, countries, etc., similar events are going on. Poets from all over, their particular habitats, places, etc., have come out, gathered to read their poems, to make their voices heard for, the word is change. Yes, it's a word that has huge connotations and perhaps because of that, in a generalized way, may mean nothing whatsoever. But it is an important part of the world that we live in. All of us may have something or the other that we find it's not quite the way we would like it to be. We'd like to see change in some manner or the other. And so raising our little voice in the chorus of other voices may not be a bad thing to do. Maybe it is not a voice that is in sync and in harmony with some other voices. And if it is not, all the better. I have this little sort of statement that I thought I'd read out for you. So I say politicians have their say, and pests, and lawyers too, as do historians, economists, political scientists, pundits. Sociologists chime in, as do anthropologists. Oh, and military tacticians, military strategists, military generals, warfare experts. I forgot them. How could I? Experts of all kinds. And what about poets? There's maybe a very small voice. And it is a voice that is being raised in all parts of the world today, despairingly sometimes, with hope at others. Perhaps it is a voice for peace. Perhaps it calls for divesting ourselves of prejudice. Perhaps it is social justice it wishes for. Or is it gender equity, economic fairness? Are these all oxymorons? I don't know. What do you think? 100,000 Poets for Change provides you a platform to have your say. Please use the opportunity to express yourself, to raise your voice. So this is an invitation to you to say, read whatever you wish to read, whether from your own poetry or from a poet that you admire, that you like. And it's a very open event as it is. And I don't want to make it structured. So here it is. Anyone wants to go first to share their poem? Who would it be? Come on, let us see. Raise your hand or just say, or just walk up. Just say you want to read. Here, Calvin. That's the brave soul. Calvin Bergamy.
My leg is going through a change. But haven't figured this out yet. I'm going to read 3 poems, fairly short, and I co-authored them. Two friends and I get together regularly and we write stuff, John Marcus and Matt Rosenberger, and they have a little bit to do with change, I think. The first one's about Atlanta. You know, every city has its own identity, and San Francisco, LA, New York, etc. I don't think Atlanta's quite in that realm yet of its own unique identity, but we're here. This is called What I Like About Its Itness. I like its big city awkwardness. It's not quite there-ness. It's not quite anythingness. It's got no New York bigness. It doesn't have a Big Apple. It isn't a Windy City or La La Land. Utterly lacking Frisco-ness. No French Quarter, no left bank. Just something becoming a somethingness. I like its ordinary otherness and lack of oneness. I am in the middle of its formingness, its relentless evolvingness, its old parts poking through new parts. It's under the highway goatness, grazing on its greenness. I like its soulless becomingness, something that can't yet talk of itselfness, its long acres of asphalt blackness, cracks and crazy oak shadowedness, old bloody roots pushing strange fruitness. I like its big, easy, loopy drunkenness, its bright-eyed cluelessness, its late-night nowhere-to-go-ness, its right-here-nowness, its whatever you make of itness, its uneasy self-consciousness. But the part I like bestness is riding my bike at nightness, right down its Auburn Avenue-ness, in the midst of a dusky-hued brightness, straight into the heart of the lightness of the city that is yet to be. I have a great idea for a movie. Opening scene, everybody would die except just 2 or 3 would survive, to live gruesomely scabby yet riveting lives. The survivors would have cleft chins and perfect breasts that heave on command or off. And they, the stars, the beautiful stars, would repopulate the earth in 90 minutes, make it a better place for kids and golden retrievers. The movie crests into naked euphoria in the first 2 seconds when Bill O'Reilly explodes in a deluge of magma that has surged up from the Earth's core directly into Fox Studios. The remaining 88 minutes with the movie's perfect pacing of cliffhanger rescues, followed by frenzied fucking, featured Nancy Grace, the former prosecutor whose southern accent with its bitter, yet come-hither edge, makes me and all other cinematic, dorky-ass viewers of cable TV cringe and lust mightily at the same time. Her full lips feverish and shiny, her open thighs ready to receive the burning Priapus of the subplot. Anyway, I digress from my movie idea of the people who recopulate the world and for a brief time live happily, so happy in Utah where the Mormons used to practice posture before my movie sent them all to Kingdom Come. In the denouement, just before the climax, a really horrible thing happens. Finally, after reams of crazy deaths and ecstatic couplings, but strangely, it seems rightly horrible. You might even say apropos of all the things, the death, the life, the well-hung dialogue, the rippling tears, the crippling laughter, laced in the sacral bone, the very emulsion of the film itself, all melting together, beguilingly, a strange comic relief, a last straw in the unending beverage that is my movie. Okay, finally, this one probably has a little bit more to do with change than those 2. But I'm a big fan of Franklin Roosevelt, FDR, and the New Deal, because I thought it was one of the times when real change actually happened and kind of evened the playing field. Not much, but some. So this is called an even newer deal. Is everybody familiar with the New Deal and FDR to some extent? An even new deal. I love the New Deal. The old school New Deal, the ballsy and brassy New Deal, the fuck the depression New Deal, the one that paid you to take photographs, to make a dam, to tell stories, to lay some goddamn pipe, and now it's a new day and a new millennium. And we need, nay, we demand a brand new deal of a deal. A succulent, tax-free, fact-free, guilt-free for all doozy whopper of a deal. A better, newer, maxed out, whacked out white whale of a freaking deal. A happy deal with bells and whistles and chrome and sugar and magic mushrooms. A plumptastic Islamo, Judeo, Christo, Tao, Shinto, Budeo, immaculate, juicy, tantric consummation of a deal. Thank you. And have some nice change.
Thank you very much, Calvin Bergamy Ness. What was it? Ness, yes. I love that and every bit of it. Delightful poems. Now let's see who would go next. Again, volunteers, or shall I name names? Come on. Yes. Ayana, please. Ayana Tillman.
Sorry, I'm waiting for my cousin to record it. Hey guys, my name is Ayana Tillman. I'm a first year. And I just wrote this piece in hopes that young women will really see themselves for who they really are. Stop the crop tops. Who told this generation of young women that this was okay, to dress and behave this way? They parade around in half a sheet just so their stomach can be on display. I'm not gonna lie, some of y'all don't have the figure to rock that. But it doesn't matter if you have the figure or not. It's not okay for a beauty like you to walk around with half your clothes on just because that's the norm and you think that this uniform mindset of this is what's sexy, this is what's cute will get you to a higher level of society. I think not. Who said it was okay to conform? Jesus surely didn't. Nah, I'm not judging you. What's to judge? I'm just trying to give your soul a little nudge because obviously your flesh is more than awake. I'm just saying, you can do better. You are a queen. Why do you take part in these trashy things hoping to be seen by others who really don't care anything about you at all? You leave nothing left to the imagination. You've got your stomach all out and a shirt that gives away the imprint of the shape of your boobs. And your shorts are so short, you got half your cheeks hanging out like that's how it's supposed to be. You're not, and you think you're gonna find a man who truly admires you for you? Because if that's your goal, you'll never find a man who's willing to protect your soul. He'll only be willing to stay with you until what's between your legs gets old. Don't you know that you're more beautiful with the less makeup you wear? It's you that people need to see, not who you pretend to be. We need to get back to the class and not just a false perception that showing all you have will gain you attention that'll last. It'll only gain you laughs. Trust me, a real man wouldn't want his girl walking around with everything that's exposed that's only supposed to be for his eyes. Who told you those lies that less is more? Cover up, sweetheart. You're more than a whore. You're more than who people said you were before. You are a daughter of the king. Live up to that title. Live like you are everything. Stop the crop tops and cover yourself. Stop the cropping of yourself and cover your heart and learn to love who you are. You may like all the frilly shortcut lace, but baby girl, you need to cover your waist. You want a man to see the beauty that's on your face because once he sees that you have no respect for your own precious body, he won't respect you and will continue to lust after all of the things you freely expose. There is beauty in a woman who was modest. For modesty doesn't mean church skirts and grandma dresses, but it means that a woman who knows that her worth is based upon what's on the inside and not what's wrapped up in the physical. She will be the one chosen to be pursued in the end as a wife and not as a booty call. So let's get to the heart of the issue and address what's really going on. Because it seems like every time you look in the mirror, you can't seem to face what's wrong. But one thing about it, God already put his paintbrush on you. Stop the crop tops because more often than not, a woman who exposes everything she owns for attention truly wants attention for her heart and not for what's down below. And really, fellas, if you really knew the heart of a woman, you would know that she doesn't want to be lusted after. She just wants to be loved.
That delightful. That was just so wonderful. Okay, next. Who goes next? Come on. Volunteers from the audience? Yes? Kajua. Yes, of course. Kajua McMurdy, please.
So my name is Kajua Sanders McMurtry. I'm one of the Associate Deans here and Associate Vice President for Inclusion and Global Diversity. I'm honored to be here. I wanted to read from two of my favorite poets. The first one is Langston Hughes, and it's a poem called Dream Variations. To fling my arms wide in some place of the sun, to whirl and to dance, till the white day is done, then rest at cool evening beneath a tall tree, while night comes on gently, dark like me. That is my dream, to fling my arms wide in the face of the sun, dance, whirl, whirl, till the quick day is done, Rest at the pale evening, a tall, slim tree, night coming tenderly, black like me. The second poem, to find it, I apologize, I had it tabbed here, is by Frances Harper Waqas, and it is a poem that really, for me, when I thought of today, it really stood out. I apologize, I had it tabbed. It's a huge book, I do apologize. A little nervous, my last person was pretty great. Sorry about that, y'all. Okay, here it is, sorry. Okay, Frances E.W. Harper, Songs for the People. Let me make the songs for the people, songs for the old and young, songs to stir like a battle cry, wherever they are sung. Not for the clashing of sabers, for carnage nor for strife, but songs to thrill the hearts of men with more abundant life. Let me make the songs for the weary, amid life's fever and fret, till hearts shall relax their tension and careworn brows forget. Let me sing for little children before their footsteps stray, sweet anthems of love and duty to float o'er life's highway. I would sing for the poor and aged when shadows dim their sight, of the bright and restful mansions where there shall be no night. Our world so worn and weary needs music pure and strong to hush the jangle and discords of sorrow, pain, and wrong. Music to soothe all its sorrow till war and crime shall cease. I have to read that again. Music to soothe all its sorrow till war and crime shall cease. And the hearts of men grow tender, girdle the world with peace. Thank you.
Okay, now let me just quickly call out the names to see how many of the people that I have on the list are here. You want to go next? Okay, go ahead and give me your name, son.
Kit.
Oh, Kit, Kathleen, right? Kathleen?
No, Kit.
Kit.
It's my nickname.
Okay, Kit Mead. Okay, Kit Mead. Here you are.
Oh God, I'm short.
Oh, it's very easy to take this.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay. I'm autistic, so I wrote some poems about autistic pride, and here's the first one. They tell you not to write of infinity in poetry, that the abstract has no place in the concrete. I will carve out the abstract infinity in the concrete, the looping symbol with its soft curves chipped against sensory overloading, hard and textured concrete. I will paint it rainbow. They tell you to save the infinity symbol for math, for things that matter, like practical life skills. Some thought I was stupid for not being able to do math and drawing all over the papers. Not life skills, they said. What if I had drawn the infinity symbol for neurodiversity and turned infinity sideways? I am autistic. We are part of neurodiversity. The world can be too fluorescent bright and loud, and wrought with sensory overload. The world can be too conversational, and sometimes communication goes haywire. But we do so many things. We can raise our hands and let the movements begin, spiraling up and down and sideways. We can pace with a certain intensity, treating circles in the floor. I always thought I was walking in figure eights, but now I wonder if I was walking in infinity symbols. We can echo and script and paraphrase Shakespeare's Julius Caesar to get each other's attention. We share information about our focused topics. It's not talking about ourselves. It's called sharing, and every day is a learning experience. We are autistic. A lost concept that is too abstract for poetry, they said. Pride. And then the next one might need a trigger warning because it's kind of about the institution of power that is against disabled people, and it might be kind of mentioning murder and things, so if you want to leave. They say that they can help you. They insist they're trying. They. So many people in the system, but they is the system. And the people in the system who have power, but they abuse it. I know people who are drugged to the point where they had to rename the drug toxicity level after the person. I know people who can't lift their hands without fear of punishment. I have read stories of the mother who clicker trained her child like a dog for quiet mouth. We are not dogs. The system is an institution, because institutions can be a power, or they can be the actual buildings, even if you can't measure by the size of the place you're in. The systematic oppression, the institutions of power, teach people that it is okay to harm us, to treat us like dogs, or murder us. Stop ingraining us graining it in our culture. Let us live, not as the shadows of people, or as you would let animals live, but as you would let anyone else live if they weren't disabled. Thank you.
That's a beautiful poem. Thank you very much. Well, how about Anna? Why are you there? I can see. Oh, you want to go ahead and read? Come along. Sorry, Anna. Next time it's your turn. And your name. Read. Okay. Read is going to read.
I really like the poems about the autism because mine are kind of another form of disability that isn't really readily seen as depression. And so I wrote these summer before junior year, and they're kind of dark, but they end up okay. The first one is called The Storm. Dark clouds gather overhead. A storm is coming. They break. Rain pours down my face, soaks my hair. And there I stand, looking up at my dark sky, thinking about the world. The lives lost, the battles won, the joys, the sorrows, and then the clouds shimmer, they fade away. A smile stretches across my face. I've gotten through the worst for now. But soon it will return, and I'll just start over, and over, and over, just like every other day, of my storm of emotion, the constant lifetime storm of me. But for now I'm happy, peaceful, calm. The light shines through the darkness, good rules over evil. I always will know. I know that in the end I'll be okay, I'll be alright, and I've survived another day. This next one is about part of my childhood and dealing with people's crap. It's called The Grief is Addictive, A Personal Journey. The day we took down my treehouse on East Lee Street, my heart broke. All my beautiful plans poured down the drain. My dream that my family would one day camp out up there under the stars is gone. Piece by piece it was torn down, just like piece by piece my little life fell apart. The day the moving van loaded boxes of my belongings, my heart shattered. The day I left that house on Lee Street, my house on Lee Street, my heart collapsed. But the grief was addictive. Each day I would close my eyes and pretend I was only dreaming, that I would wake back up on my bed in Lee Street. My 5-year-old heart was in pieces. But somehow for the next 3 years I was content. My memories still brought tears, but I was happy. I had friends who loved me and who I loved. There were things to do, things to see. I lived in a perfect neighborhood with people I loved. I had a good life. 3 years later I was back in Thomaston, a different house, a different part of town, and I hated it. The day I began 3rd grade, I cried. The kids teased me, my teacher hated me. I didn't understand that I would be judged based on who my ancestors were. And because my last name was Hightower, things would be assumed. Never before had my last name held any meaning other than to identify that I was my parents' child. Never before had anyone assumed I was wealthy. I wasn't. I'm not. Everyone assumed all the Hightowers were the same. They weren't. They aren't. My 8-year-old self didn't understand why people thought otherwise. They thought that the mills my grandparents owned before my time benefited my life. It didn't. My father lost his job when the mills closed too. No one understood that my house wasn't a beautiful manor. It was a wreck of a house, and it didn't even feel like a home. At night I cried. I begged Papa to take me out of that school. He wouldn't. He said it would make me stronger. The grief was addictive. I still look back on those days as tears fill my eyes. The next 8 years I brainwashed myself until believing that I was abnormal, that everything those stupid kids said was true. I believed them when they told me I was a good-for-nothing white girl, or something to that effect. I convinced myself I wasn't pretty. I convinced myself that no one would love me. But at the time I didn't care. I thought I would be forever alone in my world. Grief was addictive. I would cry myself to sleep over what I'd lost. 8 years later, I'm trying to undo the damage I inflicted upon myself, the damage that others inflicted upon me. It isn't easy. And the grief was addictive. In 6th grade, my best friend began talking behind my back. I confronted her. She lied. My other best friend took her side. I was crushed. I spent hours sitting in the woods, just thinking, crying, sometimes singing. I stopped eating, my whole body felt empty, drained. Since then, I've never been the same. The damage that started 3 years before, and over the last 2 years, it started to heal, and it came roaring back with newfound power. I deluded myself into thinking I was a bother, that I wasn't wanted, and that I pushed myself on people. I lost my trust in people and society. I never had a friend with whom I was so close again. I distanced myself even more. I hid myself in my misery. The grief was addictive. Today she and I are friends again, never as close as we once were, but far from enemies. We are all different people from who we were. Animals are the ones that never disappoint you. They stand by you till the end. Last Thanksgiving, my cat, my tiger, died. My darling who climbed up on the roof of the treehouse while we nailed on shingles and scared me to death, but somehow didn't fall. My baby who would let me hold her like one and love me like her mother. The kitten I rescued from a shelter crawling with kittens in need of a home. The little girl who followed me until I sat down and crawled in my lap. All gone in a moment's of a cat's curiosity and rat poison. Grief is addictive. Never before have I grieved so much for an animal lost. For every animal I've lost, I grieve as if I'd lost a child of my own. But for some reason my mind dwells on the memories of Tiger, as if the grief were addictive. Now I sit at the bottom of a ladder, with tears in my eyes, a second treehouse not to be finished, not before I graduate. Never will I sit on the floor with her in my lap, another dream gone. After all I've been through, all the betrayals, the therapist, the medication, all the tears and finals goodbyes, I'm proud that I can still stand tall. I don't believe I'll ever truly be myself again, the lively, outgoing, wild child of my younger years, because the grief is addictive, and there's too much I can't undo. Through all the heartbreaks and repairs, I'm surprised that I'm still here. The grief is addictive. The pain is addictive. These memories are addictive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reed. That was, again, a delightful poem. So let's move on. Anna, I promised you'll go next. There you are.
Anna Bayer. Oh, and those of you who don't have a place to sit, if you don't mind, you can sit in the lawn. That's perfectly all right, perfectly legit. So please join us there.
Hello, my name is Anna. I brought two poems which are not my words, so sorry for this, but I think they're very well-known poems. And with them, I try to set an impulse about thinking about political and society change. So the first one is a poem that I firstly read at high school, and I read it again when coming to the US at the Statue of Liberty. Perhaps you know this from Emma Lazarus, The New Colossus. So The New Colossus by Emma Lazarus. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gate shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome, her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she, with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden dawn. So this is from 1883, and perhaps if thinking about US foreign policy or US politics nowadays, one can get some impulses from the role in 1883 that the US plays. And now the second one is a poem, or it's not really a poem, it's rather a song, and I think you all know this. This song is also about political and society change, even about change of religious beliefs. And you know it is a song, but I thought perhaps you can also perform it as a poem. It's by John Lennon, Imagine. Imagine there's no heaven, it's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries, it isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions, I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger, a brotherhood of men. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will live as one.
Anyone volunteering to go next, or shall I call a name? Okay, go ahead. That's great. Name?
I'm Allison.
Allison is here. Great.
Well, hi, I'm Allison, and I'm a first year. I have two, and I think they're both more about, like, changes in my life as opposed to the world at large, I guess. All right, so here's the first one. I have traveled the world and come back with nothing in my suitcase. I have stared into solar eclipses and given up my eyes. I have felt my heart torn out of my body by drum beats echoing in a crowded street. My feet have been stepped on. I have dropped coins into distant rivers. Once I dropped my whole wallet, and the air has many times been sucked from my lungs by the slamming impact of a person, an animal, a vehicle. I made no friends, no enemies, but instead I stood on chalk-frayed sidewalk edges and watched a wonderful world pass me by like the best carousel. Every heartbeat sounds like the cadence of the parade's final band approaching unseen around the corner, and I want to cheer, and I want to beg for it not to be over. With every soundless dying breath, I can say to the stars and the water and the ground, I have traveled the world and come back with nothing in my suitcase. And the second one is kind of about the end of high school, I guess. Right. It's called How to Say Goodbye. It's hard to look back on all these years and see it, where we were when I needed us. I don't know how or why I went so long without you, and I have no idea how I will again. Those weeks on fields and in parking lots, they were long and wavery with the heat of a Georgia summer, and there's nowhere I would rather have spent them. Just give me one more endless firefly night of an autumn, chasing each other around with water cups, leaning on shoulders on the bus, laughing in concrete football stadiums, and getting told to be quiet and paying no attention. There are supposed to be instructions, a how-to for a happy parting of ways. There's supposed to be a happily ever after the end, but all of those are for a prince and a princess. Wait for me, we've both said countless times, running across a field in beaten up band shoes to spin around each other, fight over everything, but never be happier. I don't know how to live without you, without the presence next to me in the car saying, let's go get ice cream, show me, show me, show me, let's have an adventure. I hope you know how much you will mean to me, and I hope you know that you took my life and changed it forever. In a year, you might not remember what the corsage looked like or how we both screamed when the medal was won and the forever was finished, but I hope that somewhere in your heart, a treasure I discovered too late, that you remember us.
Okay, wonderful. As you see that now and then I'm going to call out a name. And so if Dan Reach doesn't mind, could we have Dan Reach read his poems? Thank you so much, Dan. Dan is the editor of the Atlanta Review, a translator, a poet, award-winning poet. So here, Dan.
And a very tall poet. Okay, I had the extraordinary privilege of editing the first collection of Iraqi poetry since the American invasion in 2003. So I'm going to start off with a couple of poems by actual Iraqi poets about the war. The first one is called A Present by Jamal Mustafa. Come, you won't regret it. It is a small miracle that God granted me. Come, a green rose, a bottle whose perfume is never drained, that encircles you like a halo. There, you'll see it, you'll smell it, you'll hear it. It is a poem, hanging from its hair like a chandelier in my grave.
taken. Okay, this next one is by an Iraqi woman poet, Dunya Mikhail, and it's about the mass graves they began discovering in Iraq after we invaded. The origin of these mass graves were that when George Bush attacked Saddam Hussein, he encouraged the Iraqis to rebel against Saddam Hussein, and then provided absolutely no support when they actually did. The result was a lot of mass graves. This one's called Bag of Bones. What luck! At last she has found his bones. His skull is also in the bag. The bag in her hand is just like all the other bags in other shivering hands. His bones look like thousands of bones in the mass graveyard, but his skull is unlike any other skull. 2 eyes, 2 holes, he saw too much through them. 2 holes for ears to let the music in. The story of this skull is his alone. A nose that is just an empty gap, a mouth open like an abyss. It was not like this when he kissed her. There, quietly, far from this place, with this clatter of skulls and bones and dust. This place where all our questions are exhumed. What does it mean to give your mother back on the occasion of death, the handful of bones she offered you on the occasion of birth? What does it mean that you depart without a death certificate? The dictator does not give a receipt when he takes your life. His skull alone has figured all this out. How to multiply one death by millions to equal the country. He is the director of this tragedy. And as his audience applauds, it shakes the bones in the bags, the full bag in her hand at last. Her luck at least a little better than her neighbor, who, alas, still goes on looking for her bag of bones. You never know whether to applaud that when it's like liking something on Facebook when someone shares a really terrible event. It's like, there's no sympathize button, unfortunately. This next poem, poets are often considered to be prophets, and this next poem is really eerily prophetic. It was written on the eve of the shock and awe bombing of Baghdad, just a day or two before. It's called Tomorrow the War Will Have a Picnic by Abdul Razak al-Rubai. Tomorrow the war will have a picnic. Store water, bread, and air, because the war gets hungry now and then. And if our tender bodies aren't enough to satisfy it, our childish pranks, our innocence, our dreams, it will be compelled to eat the buildings, bodies sleeping in graves, books, streets, and biscuits. It will be forced to eat unshakable mountains, statues, and stones, anything to feed its body of smoke, bullets, and shrapnel. Tomorrow, the war will have a picnic. We must go out to meet it. Out of our bedrooms, our schools, barber shops, public libraries, mosques, shelters, 1,000 nights and a night. We have to come out from our skins and our milk teeth to meet it and join its parade to the Al-Salam graveyard. Tomorrow, the war will have a picnic. Abandoned delicacy, laughter, dancing, childhood, women, beds, cups of tea and milk, classroom desks, and what's left of dreams splintered in corners. No more chocolate, no more kissing in public. Things like these are not good for the health of the war, which is having a picnic tomorrow. And finally, I'll end us with something from my little book, Elephant Water. I had the pleasure of reading here twice at Agnes Scott, the first time before this book was published. And Waqas Khwaja here has such good taste that this book won the Georgia Author of the Year award last year. So he knows how to pick them. This one is called My Long Thigh Bone. I'm dancing to the Supremes while making dinner when I happen to look at my dolphin bone. I found it down on the beach's rocks, a long curved bone. It reminds me of the long curved backs of dolphins as they roll up out of the sea. I look down at my long thigh bone and wonder if anyone will think of me when I dance my way into archaeology and all the music left is in my bones. I wonder, will anyone see this bone and dream of the way I used to dance to the Supremes? Thank you.
Okay, I keep pretending that I'm going to be calling out names from the list, but people, it seems to me, are volunteering on their own. So, do we have the next person? Yes, go ahead. Give me your name quickly.
Priyanka.
Priyanka is here, and you are here on the list too. So, Priyanka, well.
Hey everybody, my name is Priyanka. I'm a junior here at Agnes Scott. My major is neuroscience, and the reason why I'm wearing this shirt today is to spread awareness about genocide. It's called Invisible Children, so you should really look it up. It's happening in Rwanda. Also, I wanted to read two of my favorite poems that I wrote. So this is the first one. This one's called Smashed Breadcrumbs. There's a boy sitting by himself, not knowing what to think or what someone thinks of him. He stares at his journal as if it stands between him and another world. He's reading his journal as the wind pushes the ship, pushes the pages. He's a captain steering a ship into millions of voices that come off of his page. Then it hits him that he's running after destiny onto deserted islands where no one knows his fairy tales. Page 1. There are queens and models that are 360 pounds on a United Kingdom of glory. The physical appearance will lie to you, but only if you knew that the power never lied in the crevices of your curves, but they lie in the power of your presence. Couples don't kiss. They laugh and listen to YouTube videos of Best Vine complication because their love is complicated. Page 3. The football player gets out of his wheelchair slowly and sits on the cold hospital floor. He throws the football so that his friends can catch it. They sung the national anthem in your memory that echoed across golf stadiums, year-longs when pictures of you seem to grow old. Page 4. Prom night, the way he looked that night, he wanted to wear pink instead of blue. But I still remember you waving to me. I wish you never got stuck in a cross-section where you had to utter, no homo. Page 5. When she came home for the first time, she stood back with tears rolling down her face, like rivers rolling down muddy grounds while saluting her mother, tears laying on an isolated abyss that slipped off like blank pages of a fairy tale. And that bullet is still piercing my side, my backside, the front side of my brain, because when you open the book, you get smashed breadcrumbs that an author just ate from their lunch break. And this is the second one. It's about Amber Alert, it's about identity, and it's about the Civil Rights Movement, which is one of my other favorite ones that I wrote. Amber Alert. Someone is missing in a white Range Rover. I know I've heard a lot of Amber Alerts over the last couple of months, but when did people start to lose their identity? I still hear the mirror whispering to me that my skin is black and beautiful. So in Nakajami Shimi's words, this is a poem without any words, because I'm inside my skin professing words of an unwritten poem. This poem is unwritten for African American girls' voices that will never be heard in the sounds of the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church. This silence is for every African American woman whose skin color and gender was discriminated against. This is for the 6-year-old girl who declares that God is her mother. This is for the freedom rider who never wrote his last poem or ever saw his last moment of freedom. This silence is for the transgender living in a world that constantly tells them that living in their skin is wrong. This is for the woman that killed 5 in a car accident and not quite sure if she can ever stop hearing the brakes of the turning tires. For I am who I say I am, and I'm fine and free in the skin I'm in. I have been here forever. This is for the Amber Alert that found them all safe in their skin. Some aren't missing, but living inside of their own skin, whose poetry meant more than living in a world full of Amber Alerts. Amber Alert. There is somebody missing in a white Range Rover.
Thank you, Priyanka. Very moving poems. Okay, next. Who do we have? Yes, come along. Give me your name, and then you'll go next, right? Okay. I will call you next. Give me your name quickly. Carson. Carson is here. Hey.
Hi, I saw this post on Tumblr this morning. It inspired this, so. No Wi-Fi, no Facebook, no Snapchat, no hiding your insecurities between profiles of faithful Instagram followers, no tripping on the curb because you're sucked into the bright light of your smartphone screen. Fall in love with a person, not a Tinder about me. Pretend it's the 90s and you're happy deep down. Call your mother, follow a roadmap, buy a CD and listen to the whole thing. Live. No smartphones. Pick up a newspaper, fall in love at a sock hop and a train station. Pretend it's the 40s and you're happy with who you are. Buy a record and listen to one side. Flip it over, listen to the other side. Turn off the record player and go outside. Let the war rage on. Travel the world. Call your mother at a payphone. Read a book, hardcover to hardcover. Trip on the curb because you're staring at that book. Live. No telephones. Telegram your mother for 2 pence. No airplanes. Road trip around the continent. Pick up some sheet music, play it, pretend it's the 1870s, fall in love with someone and charm them with your mandolin playing skills. Live. No telegrams. Write a letter to your mother. Mail it for a shilling. Don't even bother falling in love at this point because it will just fuck up your arranged marriage. No cars. Travel the country on horseback. Invade other countries on horseback. Avoid getting knocked off your horse by a stray flaming arrow that symbolizes your burning, passionate love for the person I specifically told you not to fall in love with because that whole thing would fuck up your arranged marriage. Pretend it's 1200 CE. Avoid the Black Plague. Live. No currency. Live. No paper or ink. Live. Throw rocks at your mother. Send smoke signals to your mother. Slap dirt paint on cave walls. Pretend it's 10,000 BCE. You don't even understand what I'm saying at this point, but learn to read my gestures. Forget falling in love. Fall into ice canyons and subterranean geyser chambers. Eat dandelion leaves, raw diseased mammoth meat. Survive. No fire. Survive. Use your reptilian brain. Follow your primordial instincts. Eat your mother's corpse because in a brilliant biologically engineered neurological apoptosis, she self-destructed to provide you nourishment for your cold-blooded body. Use her as sustenance. Rise from the sulfuric sea. Evolve. No multicellularness. Thrive on minerals in the magma. Cut yourself into 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 billion pieces. Pretend it's 13.5 billion years ago. You are your mother and father, son, daughter cells dividing into the origins of life on Earth. No Earth. You are a helium-infused stardust cloud drifting through the space-time continuum. Mother is a vague and futuristic concept. Explode into 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 billion particles that will one day be the mother that gives birth to you. Be proud of the invisible electrical charges that prevent you from disintegrating into nothing. Pick up a free electron and listen to the whole thing. Exist. No days. Time does not exist, and neither do you. There is no inside to be inside. Trip on the knot curb because you're sucked into the bright light of the dawning universe. Fall in love with the blossoming nothingness surrounding your non-being. Be. And then Hardwick, a local poet, told me one time when I was like, I just can't write anymore. She was like, if you ever feel like giving up on writing poetry, write one last poem and it will tell you everything you need to know. And I did that, and this weird love poem came out, so I'm gonna read it. We blast the Grateful Dead's Sugar Magnolia from your Chevy's warped speakers on the way back to school, and for the next week, that's all I can listen to. I memorize each lyric, hum the chorus under my breath in calculus, and fall asleep as it plays on repeat, as if each time were the first time I've heard music. Sugar magnolia, blossoms blooming, heads all empty and I don't care. I strum the chords until my fingers bleed, and it's the only song I know. I buy the single on vinyls for $3 at Karmasonic Records and hypnotically watch the needle trace the grooves of the spinning disc. With every guitar riff, I see your lips mouthing the words and your hand on the stick shift and your head nodding rhythmically to the bass line. And with every strung out note held by Jerry Garcia's gravelly voice, I picture you, your car, your warped speakers, your tan upholstery, the rotation of Chevy tires. With every rotation of the vinyl record, I feel the thick sound waves and cold wind of a perfect car ride. Grateful Dead. The vaguely familiar band name is all of a sudden the most beautiful phrase I know. Grateful Dead, I whisper into the wind. And they say love makes you crazy. Well, I have become a mad scientist of musical expression, banging away on ivory keys in a church basement, playing the night away until 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. And I should probably be working, but I need to commit every ivory keystroke to muscle memory. I learn every track on the Terrapin Station album, play from the Mars Hotel over and over and over again until the notes ring in impeccable harmony. This is the only music I've ever heard. It's the only thing I know of you. I ransacked my mother's closet to find her Shakedown Street t-shirt and wear it to school every day for a week until you finally notice me and say, nice shirt. And I tell you all about how I love the Grateful Dead, how I've listened to every track list forward and backward, how their music is my sanctuary, my sanity. And for the next month, that's all we can listen to. We buy the So Many Roads collections for $48 at Karmasonic Records and hypnotically watch the needle trace the grooves of the spinning discs. When Phil Lesh and Bob Weir come to New Jersey on their last ever American tour, we blast Sugar Magnolia the entire 8-hour drive to Holmdel, where the Park 33 music venue tells us we're 4 years too young to see the show. So, dodging security guard glances, we slickly scale the side of a brick building to crouch on its mossy rooftop with ears pressed to the shingles, feeling faint vibrations simmering through us, singing along to every lyric all night. It's all we can listen to. And they say you'll always remember your first love, of course. How could I forget the tapping of our toes and fingers to the synchronized rhythms of Mickey Hart cymbal clashes that matched our heartbeats? How could I forget covering the working man's dead in a church basement, your hand on mine, as we softly strike ivory keys in impeccable harmony? And how sometimes I still fall asleep, listening to Sugar Magnolia, on repeat, and it's all I can listen to.
Poems, beautifully read. Thank you so much. Yes, you come in next. Just give me your name so I can announce it. Sarah would be next, so give her a hand.
Okay, so I'm kind of doing I'm reading from a poem by a Korean poet that I truly admire, and for the past year and a half, I've been working trying to create this poem. I guess I want to kind of give you some feedback or some content to the poem. In 2013, in the summer, I went to South Korea, and during that time, I went to the DMZ. Now, how many of you know what the DMZ is? Okay, it's 38th parallel where North and South Korea are divided, and within the DMZ, there's a place called the JSA, the Joint Security Area, where you literally get to look at North Korea, and the only thing dividing it is a cement block of maybe a foot by foot. You could literally step over it, but I would not recommend it. So Ko-un, who is this terrific poet who was born in 1933, just somewhere in the middle of the Japanese occupation of Korea, didn't really fight in the Civil War because of military. He didn't fit the military description. He was kind of rejected. And then he became a Buddhist monk and then didn't become a Buddhist monk. You know, he kind of stayed that way and studied and then guess fell in love, has a wife, and just found out, and this is coming October 2nd, he'll be in Chicago, which I cannot go to. So I'm really sad, but that's just kind of like the backstory to this. And I'm just reading like the first introduction to the poem that I did the response to because it's like 4 pages long and my attention span is not that long to read it. So the first poem is, it's called Hangul, which is the alphabet, the Korean alphabet. Tonight I'm writing a letter here at Ansong Gyeonggi to Chol Hyungmin in Hyungsan, North Pyongyang. Gyeongsang Province to the south is not in South Korea. Pyongyang Province to the north is not in North Korea. They're just two places, here and there, nor is he North Korean, I South Korean. We are just two people of the same land. So that's just kind of the beginning of that poem. And then the poem that I wrote kind of goes off of that. It kind of reflects his whole motto of unification and kind of what I felt being there in the DMZ. So it's called Here and There the Birds Come and Go Freely. Ko-eun writes a letter here, 50 miles south of Seoul in Ansong, to his companion who resides there in Hyungsan, a place located 100 miles northeast of Pyongyang. But one must first walk through the 2-mile wide and 160-mile long section of unnumbered landmines and rusted barbed wire fences that stitch together the 38th parallel, a political division. Ko-eun's letter, written in ink with a conscience white cleaned by a formless truth, and with hands bruised from the history, and with eyes shard sweetly by a sunset shared simultaneously by both companions. How immeasurably beautiful. That was in 1999, when the millennium expired. 14 years later, I stand on the edge of the Dorison Observatory bordered by New York-style coin-operated telescopes. The monsoon haze diffused, allowing a sky so open and wide as if all the bitterness had been saturated out. And I imagine that there, in a place farther north beyond the demilitarized zone, where the Nido Mountains peak, roll, and bridge, rearing upwards till it ruptures through the horizon. The heavy clouds empty themselves downwards like lumber, and though everyone is around, it still makes no sound. The valley plunge into fields naked as birth, landscape gives ground to youth far from fear, like those here in the south. In short, Ko-eun's letter never did reach his companion in Hyungsan that year or the next or the following years after those. And maybe my poem, just as his letter, will be thrown away before it can reach its destination, because somewhere along the way the section that is here and there becomes forbidden to the letters and the beings, but that is all. The shiri, those tiny fish, swim freely from the north streams to the south stream, never questioning which Korea they are in. Overhead, a shadow slips freely by the soldiers, not disturbing the DMZ's joint security area. Her wings flap as the breeze relaxes just a bit, allowing the monochrome magpie to perch itself on a roof shingle of a blue-painted building. And at the same time, the country's flags fold into themselves, then uncurl in a unified fashion continuously. I smile silently to myself. For seeing this, I know that one day the fences and the tension will crumble into debris, dispersing into history like the dandelion white whiskers, forgetting politics. And the two sisters in the north will walk down to join hands with the two brothers in the south. Then the people will travel as freely as the shiri. Thank you.
Great. Thanks a lot for that lovely poem. I'm going to ask Tenzin Yangchen to come and read a poem or poems.
What's that one?
Okay, sit.
Good afternoon. I'd like to read a poem called I Am a Terrorist by Tsuju. I am a terrorist. I like to kill. I have horns. 2 fangs, and a dragonfly tail. Chased away from my home, hiding from fear, saving my life, doors slammed on my face. Justice constantly denied, patience is tested on television, battered in front of the silent majority, pushed against the wall. From the dead end, I have returned. I am the humiliation you gulped down with flattened nose. I am the shame you buried in darkness. I am a terrorist. Shoot me down. Cowardice and fear I left behind in the valley among the muley cats and lapping dogs. I am single. I have nothing to lose. I am a bullet. I do not think. From the tin shell, I leap for the thrilling 2-second life and die with the dead. I am the life you left behind. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Tenzin. Any other volunteers here, or shall I call out a name? Ruth Johnson. Okay, and then you can go next. I saw your hand, half a hand, but it was there. So next, you will go next.
Yes.
Ruth.
You showed up.
I did show up, that's right. Okay. Darn. Okay, so I have 3 poems. One of them is kind of my reflection on how I feel about kind of the system of colleges and universities and how things are quickly changing. I feel like that's true of a lot of schools, that money is becoming more important and their image than what's actually going on inside and what's actually happening to the students. So that's the first one. It's called Ivy. The school had no ivy on its brick walls. The gardeners scraped the ivy away, and the school never knew of that downfall. The students were unwillingly prey because the walls were never fully braced. The squirrels, the birds, have all gone far astray. When the battle came, the school was laid waste and everything was silent. The students tried to save their school, but they fell one by one. Some say they looked like sweetly sleeping dolls. Now the school has ivy-covered halls. Heed this tale well. Give schools their ivy walls. Second one is called Security Checkpoints, and it's kind of a reflection on how much the world has changed. As a kid, I traveled a lot, and my dad traveled a lot, and I remember meeting him right at the gate, which doesn't happen anymore. We have to go through all these security procedures, and it's kind of what came out of it. Security checkpoints. I hate taking off my shoes. Too often my socks are woolly and yellowed. I have memories of greeting my father at the gate as a young child, giggling as he would wave and press his face against the airport window. No more. Now I wait at home, not worried, but definitely worried that any moment now the phone will ring and I will hear that the plane smashed its nose up against the airport window and crushed my father in 2. I love airports. I escape in them, but I also lose myself, and when I look in the airport window, I do not see my father's grin. I see nothing. No reflection glowers back at me. And then the last one, I'm just gonna go read it. Another life. The day the bombs dropped, I was pushing my baby in his stroller. I hope he didn't feel the impact as his bones burned to ash in an instant. The day the bombs dropped, I was playing chess in the park. I watched in horror as my queen melted before my eyes. The days the bombs dropped, I was sleeping with my love. I looked into his eyes, and in a blinding, burning moment, they, tender and brown, were gone. Why did we survive? What strange resistance do we have that the others lacked? The day the bombs dropped, I wish I died. That's it.
Come ahead. Next, just give me your name.
Molly.
Molly is going next. Molly.
Do they need to be taller? Thank you. Okay, so this poem is written about kind of as a response to some recent tragedies that have happened in my hometown.
And so this is for Connor. To Iowa. I can never write about you until after I've left you. Your fields shaved to stubble, black spines of winter trees, the supple neck of your fawn bent down to the flat grass. Iowa, I have seen your son go swimming in a silo, have seen a father surrounded by the grains of perfect corn spilt around him in yellow silver sunlight, have heard your sirens silent, heard your daughter shatter glass into gravel, a delicate body of dark on the windshield. Iowa, I cannot come back to you because I remember your children, the ones you left like eggs in a basket on a thunderstorm porch, how I slept inside as rain swept away the blood-red yolks. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. And I'm wondering if I can entice Zubair Azmi to come and read, if he has anything ready. I suppose he does. I saw him rummaging with some papers in his pocket.
I wasn't ready. Okay, I don't write poems myself, but I'm going to read a couple of poems of my favorite poet, my niece, 7 years old. She lives in Dubai, and she's written a few. This one's called 100. You can make 10 tens, and you will get 100. You can make 2 50s, and you will get 100. 100 seems like a big number, and it is. But there are much bigger numbers like 150, 200, 900, 1,000, 5,009. But for big things like TVs, even 3 is a lot. But for things like bangles, 100 bangles would not be so much. Because they are small. Now 100 is a number, a very big number, and a small number. Oh, by the way, her name is Aisha. This one's called Winter, pretty small. W is for wet snowflakes. I is for ice cold. N is for New Year's. T is T that is warm. E is for elves for Santa. R is for reindeer. Next one, what is a tooth fairy? If you lose a tooth, you put it under your pillow. When you wake up, you check it, and it's replaced by some money. And you find some footprints from the tooth fairy's clues. And now you have learned how nice the tooth fairy is and how she gives you all the clues. Okay, this is from my nephew, her elder brother. It's called My Room. My room, my place of gaming. My land of computers in a place of technology. My room, my studying place. My retreat when told to go to do your homework. My room, my cinema, the place of many action movies. My room, my district of happiness. Zone of dreams, covers up the other world. My room, my view of skyscrapers, the ships of the marina, all in my sight. My room, my gaming, my study zone, my messiness, my cleanliness, my great view, my responsibility, my cinema, my happiness. Thank you.
Thank you, Zubair, for bringing those voices from thousands of miles away, and young and fresh voices entirely, with eyes that make it all new for us again. Can I ask Alka Roy to come and read her poems, please?
It's hard to follow a 7-year-old because, you know. So first I wanted to thank Waqas for organizing this and making us part of something that's going on across the world, and for all of you to come out here when there are a lot of other enticing things happening and spending time with words and poetry. I will read 2 poems. The first one I wrote a few years ago, but it seems really relevant with everything that's going on right now and elections coming. Red and Blue. Can you guys hear me okay? Retracing an arrow hardly does us any good if the arrow missed its mark. My friend wants to kill those in office. I try poker. Pair to pair flush. I can never remember how to excuse myself of the inexcusable. I once saw a hermit climb mud brick steps with a fold-up table in one hand. He was on his way to the house of gods, but I wondered about the table. Some say the dream of the United States is contaminating, but we must wait. An inflamed spirit can wait, but it is unhygienic and unstable like science of yesterday. Ptolemaic spheres, balancing color, phlegm, and melancholy shapes of skull. What can never be confirmed can also never be denied. That is true of faith, fear, and other F words. Even facts falter with time, and of course that's what I meant by F words. I'm a city-educated cynic, a girl. I know excrement can be fuel and holy. Yes, my faith has been hit, admonished, hiding in underground cafes, nibbling cheeseless pizzas. Living is difficult on a boat that has forgotten the ground, even on water. Wood can burn, but who has the time to get out? Passers-by call, let it go, Yar, they say. It is foolish to fight it. Fatalists with string lips sound a conch. I count the change in my pocket. Do things to keep myself busy. Wait for a revolution to ripen under hot sun. I may move, I say, but take my hat and squat on the sidewalk instead. Such a rough and tumble place. Temples replaced by conference rooms, and all manners of ancient clippings stick to cubicles and refrigerator doors, and those that don't matter. Sometimes I wonder if I am mad at the world for not changing or just mad. The second one is called Leftover, and this is kind of, I don't know if it's so dedicated, but I wrote it pondering about how women's body keeps becoming a political agenda on people's, political agenda. Leftover. Everything has gone out of me, but maybe I clamped down on luck or some kind of malfunction. In this clinic, nothing feels clinical. Trash, lumps of flesh, my insides. I have signed the necessary forms. In a sleeve of the purse, the receptionist sneaks back to me are needles. Otherwise, I'm empty. Shoot me up and don't tell my husband. He's at some war getting an advanced degree in killing, and I have decided not to have them. Children. That's my gift to the planet. Besides, what has loving or being loved done for anyone? When the Dalai Lama comes to Atlanta, I raise my hand and ask. In combat, the trick is to keep a pebble in the mouth, reduce the need for thirst and speech. This I can do to keep from talking about today's casualty. Maybe the connection will be bad when he calls. The words will crack. So what it sounds like, something, that again, this comforts me, or is it the thought of going back to an empty house, or the needle, or maybe some other ending altogether? Thank you.
Request Professor Esther Lee to come and read her poems. I thank her for being here. I know she's found time from a very busy schedule to be here, so thank you, Esther. Please.
share. I haven't gone back to Audrey and Rich in quite a while, so just felt right today. This is a poem from 1971, Trying to Talk with a Man. Out in this desert, we are testing bombs. That's why we came here. Sometimes I feel an underground river forcing its way between deformed cliffs, an acute angle of understanding moving itself like a locus of the sun into this condemned scenery. What we've had to give up to get here, whole LP collections, films we starred in playing in the neighborhoods, bakery windows full of dry, chocolate-filled Jewish cookies, the language of love letters, of suicide notes, afternoons on the riverbank pretending to be children. Coming out to this desert, we meant to change the face of driving among dull green succulents, walking at noon in the ghost town, surrounded by a silence that sounds like the silence of the place, except that it came with us and is familiar. And everything we were saying until now was an effort to blot it out. Coming out here, we are up against it. Out here, I feel more helpless with you than without you. You mention the danger and list the equipment. We talk of people caring for each other in emergencies, laceration, thirst, but you look at me like an emergency. Your dry heat feels like power. Your eyes are stars of a different magnitude. They reflect lights that spell out, exit. When you get up and pace the floor, talk of the danger as if it were not ourselves, as if it were not testing anything else. Oh, Audrey and Rich, man, she's so good. And then just going to share a poem draft. I'm really pleased to see a lot of familiar faces and students I've had the pleasure to work with, or am working with. But yeah, this is a prose poem in progress, and I've been thinking a lot about artist friends, in particular artist and writer friends, and trying to make that space and time for what we do. So, before a poem about suspension, before the day, with its blue frames and white noise, before baseboards gather their inevitable dust, before you begin to edit what someone calls your face of quiet despair, before he reaches for you, turning to sleep on his side, and before you overhear someone say placenta their favorite organ, before a stranger assumes you as direction giver or masseuse, in other words, as someone who might know, before you notice the faithless surrounding themselves with thrift stores and lottery tickets and other sources of faith, before blueberries inside your luggage thaw out their inevitable juices, and before your mother describes your father shoving her head against the cash register, before she says his lack of apology, before jars unseal their lids simultaneously, before mammals come up for air or for food, and before your friend, after 9 days, reaches her destination, and before he sleeps on his side and turns to reach for you, and before light travels the length of and beyond the curtains, before reverb steeps your ears or the clicking inside your mouth resumes its inevitable cadence, and before the phone rings behind which the voice of someone who never calls, and before you draw attention to the mistakes than if they were left standing. So,
Thank you very much, Esther, participating and reading out your poems. If you don't mind, can I have a show of hands for people who still have to read? Okay, and can I encourage you to come one by one? Who would go first? Yes. And could you please give me your name? Teja. Okay.
Okay. My name's Deja. I apologize. My poem's on my cellular device. So, I wrote this poem, I want to say last year, in responding to one of the events that moved the African American race along. Okay, so it's called True Freedom and Equality. As the raindrops fall on our heads, we realize the fight is not dead. Hundreds of years wasted, not realizing how equality tasted. Now the problem is more. No longer majority minority. Now it's minority minority. What can we say? Is freedom this way? No, it is not. We cannot just let our ancestors rot. We must join together to make things for the better. What is a dream? Does it flourish like a flower? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Spoken like a true advocate. Now I'm asking to this day, to our ancestors, must we dedicate or suffer through all the pain and hate? Freedom fighters turning in their grave, feeling the failure of all their raves. We must not join together as one or fall down together as if we are none.
Hello, I'm Alexis Henry. I'm a junior. I was a creative writing major, which is where I started writing, but now I'm a Spanish major. Thank you. I was happy when my old Professor Lee, sent me the opportunity to speak at this event. And the poem that I wrote is inspired by current events that have been happening. And when I hear about them, I'm like, we're still on this. You know, these things are happening again. I can't believe it. And then that makes me think about how in some aspects of our evolution, we're really sophisticated, but then in other aspects, we still don't get it. And this poem just makes, it speaks about the question of, are we going to get it? Is there such thing as it being too late? Our house. In our house, we live in a dream. We are all dreaming the same dream, living the same nightmare. I think I am the only one who smells the smoke of our house burning. In our dream, we sleepwalk, but we still see each other, except we don't appear as we are. In this dream, we call each other us and them. Sometimes we drop bombs on them because they are not a part of us. Sometimes we enslave them to work so we can have more than enough, more than we need for us. At times we sleepwalk across mines and through trenches because us wages war on them. We are so deep in our slumber, we don't see that there's no us and them. It's just us. We are just one. We are one. We are one living in a house brimming with blood. Our house is full of blood, but not even all this blood would put the flames out. I am starting to awake from the dream, but all the others in our house are asleep. I am the only one who smells the smoke. Our house is burning. I am awake now, but I cannot put out the flames by myself. If we don't awake from this dream, then our house will surely burn down. Our flames of hate will surely burn the earth down. Not just us, and not just them over there, but we as one will all burn in our flames. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your lovely poem. Is Rachel Shower here? Oh, sorry. Oh, that's you. You've already read. Sorry. So I was wondering if I had that name. Okay, I didn't mark that one. Sorry. So there you are now. Okay, so who are we left with? Yes. Are you Courtney? Courtney Taylor? Courtney Taylor.
Okay, hi. I'm going to start with a poem. It's not really an introduction or anything, but okay, I don't have a title. When she hits the vanity, a little figurine of a black girl praying falls. Another, a porcelain ballerina, misses a left point. Then there too, the bluest eye spread open like a victim. And though language wades on a pink island between teeth, who can speak with lung and brown bag, or conjure voice through Nile rising from iris. Another day, she is made to collect the plastic fragments of a shattered hanger used to teach her what family is made of. Learned well. At age 21, a wine bottle in hand, she beats a girlfriend into a dresser until it is her vanity again. The shivering, limbless idols, the iBook on top the woodshed. If at that age she could have read Pain and Tupicola, who knows if she would finally understand that standing takes soul and soul. And then I have I'm working on a series of haikus that discuss Trayvon Martin's brother, who I got to intern with over the summer. So a lot of what I say might not be necessarily what's happened, but like ideas of what could happen. When he arrived, I considered interviews. How did it feel to sit in a witness stand, hear a brother pleading from beneath white knees? Instead, we meet at a Foggy Bottom bistro talking colleges, Congress, fear of walking unarmed anywhere now. Our breath whispering down the rim of wine glasses. Once I think I'm there enough to ask without being guilty, I do. And after, we bask in the quiet, staring at the store-bought ceilings, imagining my questions arranged ununiquely in a candy bag. Second one. He carries a photograph in his pocket, glossy Christmas tree black background, the ornaments like bullets dancing behind his brother's head. At a coffee shop by the shore, we watch a broken yacht of blonde men signal for help. Recalling why we came to Washington, we return our care to the tea bags dangling in hot water. Why he came here. He wants to be a lawyer. Civil rights, he says, to make civil whites. In Georgetown, we see a movie about losing love in Vegas and later sit again by the Potomac, let the moon peel back our skin to pink beneath, the same shade of a finger we can't forget hugging a trigger.
Anyone I have missed? Yes, sure. You are Mekong. Sorry? Meche. Okay, please.
Hello, everyone. I would like to share with you the first English poem that I've ever written in Dr. Lee's class, which I miss a lot, and our lovely classmates there. And so now that I look back to this poem with more critical eyes, there's so much revisions awaiting. But I still want to keep in mind this poem because it means a lot to me. And I always want to keep in mind the struggles as I read more poetry and analyze and learn more poetry. So, up. Foot by foot, I continue to climb, clinging to the wall of the well, rough and dark. Should I cast aside the damp shell? What could I become if I unburdened? A relaxing but homeless slug, no shelter, no life, lost soul with no warm hug. A splendid coiled palace where all my tiny dreams reside. Since birth, I've been clutching this backpack. No, I will never unpack. After I reach the peak, the freshest leaf will be a flying carpet, agile with delight. The scratches will no longer feel pain after I go bathe in the sunlight. The mixed sticky sweat and tears will all get dry behind after the warm and balmy wind with no trail left in line. The world I can see now is still distant and high. Now I'm halfway through the journey. Will I ever touch the bigger blue sky? Yeah, this is the poem. And thank you. And poetry is always is one of the things that really empowered me and inspired me to major in English and possibly go to a career related to English as a non-native English speaker. Sometimes I hate this word, but sometimes the inner struggles are real because sometimes I just don't get a poem. Like I start to question if I should just give up or if I just move on to another poem. But sometimes I think back to the snail, and I imagine the moment when I can understand and grasp the essence, and then really feel the sunlight and the flying carpet. And that's why I still want to share this poem with you. Thank you.
Thanks a bunch for that. And you just came in. Do you want to read? Oh, okay. Don't feel dismayed. I will not call you or call upon you to read against your will, that is. So really, I want to thank all of you for being here, and maybe I can close with a couple of poems of my own that I'd like to share with you. So, be warned, I don't write short poems, but I have chosen some short poems for this occasion. So here, these are in the nature of haiku, but they are not quite haiku. So I'm going to read these fragments for you. Is it Arab or Hebraic spring? The pot is well and truly stirred. A witch's brew rises and boils over. Watch it spread. 2. Defiler of dreams, destroyer of trust, I cast this spell to fuel my lust. 3. The magpie's blue, if you would only look, you think it is black and white. Here's the second poem. Hold your breath. Hold your breath, for the day is gone and half the night. It is already late. And if ever dawn breaks out, you, my friend, will never know. Ah, hold your breath. Silence itself will teach you what you need to know. The day is gone and half the night, and what is left, it too will pass. If your eyes darken, let your eyelids fall. If your heart bleeds, let it find release. The day is gone and half the night. Tomorrow this desert may come to bloom, but you will not know. And then finally, poetry for peace. Sounds good, doesn't it? With alliteration, assonance, all that stuff. But really, are we indeed so ready to believe that poetry or poets can bring peace? When was it ever so? Name your poet or prophet. Is there a difference? Neither accepts the other. Self-willed, both. Rejects searching for honor through words baked in the soul's kiln. Vyas or Valmiki, Homer, Virgil, Dante, Buddha, Nanak or Kabir. Lovers of wilderness, of forests and wastelands, carrying within an oasis of palm trees a deep and secret well of sweet water. Deserts raging with sands on fire, deserts frozen under icy moons. These their habitat, these their heart's soil, feeding the stem of their soul, coloring its spiked flowers. Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, Orpheus with his charmed lyre, David of the honeyed harp strings, Mirabai, Tukaram, Lal Ded, Bhartari Hari. Name your prophet or poet, singers and charmers of the past, those warblers stretching their necks, pouring forth hot molten ice that scalds their throats. Whoever, Hafiz, Sadi, Umar Khayyam, Rumi, Rumi, secluded 40 days with Shamsid the breezy, spinning round and round like a planet in homage. Blake or Wordsworth, Ghalib or Mir, Whitman of the barbaric Europe, the recluse Emily, nobody herself, asking everyone, are you nobody too? Whoever, Farid, Khusro or Bulla, Waris Shah who wrote the Heer, Shah Hussain singing his inspired kafis for Madhulal, the Hindu lad. Mother, who should I tell the travails of my separation? a man in appearance, a woman within. I toiled through a pathless jungle, seeking my love. Name your poet or prophet. Whoever was successful, pretenders to the mantle divine, in establishing this elusive order. Harmony and concord indeed. Peace.